YouTube, welcome to Geekshhh. So ever since the M4MacMini was released, there was three things that the community was patiently waiting on. One was the increase of internal storage, which was accomplished the very first day by certain YouTube channels, and they did that by removing and soldering on higher capacity NAND chips. The second was hubs for the Mac Mini, and those are slowly but surely being released. And the third was a third-party SSD all-in-one solution for increasing the internal storage, and here it is. You see, the difference between this and what I mentioned earlier is that one required a certain skill set to accomplish, and this one does not. It only requires you to be brave enough to open up your M4 Mac Mini. Now, my video will provide you with that courage because it's fairly simple. So, full disclosure, this SSD was sent to me by store.m4-ssd.com for review. I will not be sending them my review first before posting on YouTube, and I also will not be catering my opinions to suit their needs. So first thing first, what we're going to do is run a couple of tests on the OEM that we will also later do on the new SSD so we can compare the two. We then going to sign out of our iCloud account to avoid any potential issues. Don't worry, because you can sign in again after the upgrade. Then we'll proceed with the opening of the M4 Mac Mini and the installation of your new 2 TB SSD. So let's stop wasting time and get straight to it. All right, so the first thing I did was a 1 gig Blackmagic disk speed test on the OEM. After that, I decided to do a 5 gig test on the OEM. Now pay attention to the upper right, because the upper right is the temperature of that OEM disk while these tests are transpiring. So after that, I went ahead and transferred a 180 gig folder from my external Thunderbolt drive, which does about 1300 read and write, onto the desktop of the OEM. So it ended up taking around 13 minutes to fully transfer over. So now let's go ahead and sign out of our iCloud account, and then we could proceed with the installation of the 2 TB SSD. The suction cup they provide you should be way better. This one I'm using is my own personal one. All right, so now I got it open on this side and boom. All right, so got that in there. So now I could just use the crowbar to open up the tabs. Just basically push it around. There you go. Then could take that out now. Then continue to go on this side. All right, there we go. And one more tab. And boom, it's open. All right. Now you don't have to unplug the cables. You don't have to unplug the cable for what we are trying to do. Now for these screws right here, they say use T4, but I personally think it's T5, to tell you the honest truth. But you know, your kit will come with T4, but I personally think these are T5 screws. So I personally recommend to use T5 because you don't want to rip the screws. Last thing you want is a screw to drop on the floor. So make sure you got it in a good place. All right, so you got all these opened up. So let me see right now. Use the crowbar. Make sure, okay, there's one more screw over here. So there's one more screw on this side. Don't forget this one. All right. So There's one more screw right there. And then this should just lift up after that. All right, boom. So this is just lift up. And now you have these screws. All right, so you got those first screws, which are T5 sitting over there. And now we just got to deal with these two screws and these two screws. Now these two screws should be T5 as well. Let me double check. Yeah, these are T5 as well. Take these out. All right, but these should be T3, I believe. So let me switch. Make sure y'all can see. So T3s. You want to basically lift this up. All right, and there you go. So it's not bad at all. Right there basically at the top, almost surface level for this one. So now this is T8. So let's switch to T8. All right, so that's the only T8 screw. All right, so now let's open this up. All right, let me flip it over on this side so I can see it better. Let me just slide it out. All right, so now I got it out. So now let me just show y'all the difference between the two. Hold on a second. All right, so here you have it up close and personal. So on the right, you know, this is the new third-party SSD. On the left, this is the OEM. So here you go right here on one side, and then let's flip it over to the next side. On the right side is the third-party SSD. On the left side is the OEM. So here you go, OEM, third-party SSD. So y'all can see the difference. Flip it over on this side, third-party SSD, OEM. All right, y'all, so let's install the SSD and then let's close this back up. So all right, so put the new one in there. Then we're gonna take that T8 screw. We're gonna take that T8 screw. We're gonna install that one. All right. Just make sure it's in there correctly. All right, so we got that in there. Now we have to put the other screws back in. So We're gonna flip this around. Make sure I don't hit none of the other stuff. And this goes like this. Just make sure, hold on. All right, so all right. All right, sorry about that, guys. Something was going on with my mic. So yeah, so we got this in here, right? So remember, these are T5s and these two are T3s. These two are T3s and these are T5s. So let me do the T3s first. Hopefully none of y'all lost any of y'all screws, but y'all can put them back in place with no issues. Hopefully y'all didn't lose any of your screws. So trust me, those things fall on the floor, you're gonna have a long day. All right, so now these are T5s, I believe. All right, so let's put these two back in. All right. Okay, so now that we got those in, we gotta put this one back in. And the power button is on that side, so you know that's where it go. All right. All right, holding down. So now these are all T5s as well. So let's put them back. All right, so now we got all the screws back in. Now let's just close it back up. Everything should snap into place. All right, this done came off, but it's all good. Suction cup that he sent you should be way better than that one. That's the one I had laying around. So we got it all closed up. Let's go ahead and start the firmware process. Great timing because my camera about to die. Now, to restore this Mac Mini, you're going to have to use another Mac computer as well. So it doesn't matter if it's a MacBook Pro, a Mac Mini, a Hackintosh, as long as it has Mac OS on it. So you're going to have to connect that Mac computer to this Mac Mini. Now, whichever computer you choose to use, you need to go ahead and go to this particular site. The link will be in the description to download the firmware that you're going to use to restore this Mac computer. So go ahead and do that, and let's proceed to the next one. All right, guys. So first thing first, we got to plug in some things in here. Let me plug in the HDMI that I'm going to use. Plug that in. I'm going to plug in the USB-C cable. Make sure that you use the middle Thunderbolt port, the one with the Thunderbolt symbol on it. That's the one you have to use for the USB-C cable. All right. And let me also plug in my Ethernet cable. That's not 100% necessary, but that's what I'm gonna do. So the Ethernet cable is not really necessary, but that's what I'm gonna do. All right, and now now we have to plug in the power. But before we plug in the power, we have to start holding the power button. So we want to start holding that. Start holding the power button and then plug in the power cable. And then the light should flash amber. All right, as you can see, the light is flashing amber. Cool. So now that the light is flashing amber, on the screen it has it gives you the option to restore it. So Mac DFU mode. So what we're going to do is hold the option key if you're on a Mac computer. If you're using a Windows keyboard, you just hold Alt. You just want to hold that down, and then you want to click the Restore Mac. And now it's going to make you look for what you want to use to do it. So that's where you use that, and then just click Open. All right, your Mac will erase and restore your Mac to Mac OS 15.2 and will verify and restore with Apple. Cool. All right, so now it's starting. So this is going to take a while. From my understanding, it's going to take up to about 20 minutes. So you just really have to just be patient with this. All right, so let's go ahead and go, and I'm gonna fast forward y'all when it's ready. All right, guys, it says the connected Mac has been restored to factory settings. Please disconnect the restored Mac from this Mac. All right, so this is ready to go. All right, so it says it's ready to go. That didn't take 20 minutes, but let's see. All right, there you go. So let me plug up a keyboard onto it. So we're gonna run through some options real quick. Anyway, so we got all that together and let's see if it went through. About this Mac. Go to more info. Go down to start. There you go. There you go. 2 terabytes. 2 terabytes. There you go, guys. So it definitely worked. So let's run a couple of tests that, that we did previously with the older one. Let's run a couple of tests real quick. Hold on a second. Let me get it together. All right, hold on. Okay, guys, let's do a speed test. All right, so we're doing a speed test with just one. Yeah, that's better performance, guys. Look at that, 4700. Wow, 4700 on the 1 gig file test. That is definitely better performance than the OEM that it initially came with. So, and you look at the temperature, it's only hitting 35 degrees. I believe it went up to 45 degrees on the OEM. I got to double check, but all right. So now let's stop that. Let's go to the 5 gig test. All right, let's run that one. Now the 5 gig test is giving you better performance than the 1 gig test of the OEM. Pay attention to that. Now, when we look at the temperature as well, this is up to 42. I believe the OEM went up to 45. Okay, now this is up to 45. All right. So it's giving you better performance. That's a good thing. Now let's do the speed test when we drop the Canon dump file. Remember, this is 180 gigs. We're gonna drop this over there. Let's open this up and let's drop this down. Let's see how long it takes to go ahead and bring this one over. Wow. So around like 1 minute and 51 seconds, I believe. All right, y'all. So there you have it. Now, the disk speed test that we did, whether it was the OEM or the new SSD, they both had the same temperature when they was conducting the test, whether it was the 1 gig test or the 5 gig test. But you did increase the speed on the new SSD, so that's a good thing. But what's concerning is when I did the transfer test of the 180 gig folder. Now, it took 13 minutes on the OEM, but it only hit 49 degrees. And I think a large part of why it took so long on that is because it's 180 gigs going into a 256 gig SSD. That's a significant amount of space. Whereas the new SSD did it in under 2 minutes. Yes, that's true. But that thing got toasty. 85 degrees. Woo-wee. That thing got real toasty. We might have to open that thing up and put a thermal pad in there, tell you the honest truth. But nonetheless, I think this is a great upgrade for people out there. But I want to make a few suggestions to y'all. One, my very first suggestion is to take that same package that the new SSD came in and put your OEM in there and keep it in a safe space just in case. My second suggestion is to get yourself a 2 terabyte SSD or NVMe drive and then use that as a disk for a time machine so you could do regular backups. Now, you do get a 1-year warranty from this company that I'm linking that sent me this out, M4SSD.com. You do get a 1-year warranty. So if anything go wrong, you got that. But you want to make sure you protect yourself even further. Overall, I think this is a great upgrade and it really increases the value of the base model Mac Mini, M4MacMini. So overall, that's great. Now, the video is done. Let me just talk about a few things. I got real annoyed because of the snow. This guy sent this to me since last week. I would have had this video out last Thursday and been the first one on the internet with it. But all the snow in America, I didn't get it till yesterday, so that's annoying. But overall, I'm glad I did the video. I think I did a good job, and I think I touched on things that I didn't see anyone else talk about. So overall, I'm proud of it. Anyway, this is DeMarco Payne for Geekshhh. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And last but not least, may the good news be yours.